let's start with getting to know to each other. So if you can each one go and introduce himself quite quickly. Lone May, we can start with you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Luan May. I work at the corporate level in R&D and strategy for business development for new businesses and also for partnerships. Nice to meet you.
Hello. Thank you for having us. My name is George Kellerman. I am the VP, Head of Investments and Acquisitions at Woven by Toyota, a wholly owned subsidiary of Toyota. And I'm also the Managing Director of Woven Capital, an $800 million growth stage fund that's backed by Toyota.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Fintin. I'm the CEO of Software Republic, which is a consortium between 6 big tech players in Europe, including Renault Group. And I will tell you more about it later, but glad to be here.
Everybody, shalom. My name is Gideon Kedem. I'm the head of automotive business at Valens Semiconductor. We are focusing on high bandwidth, high speed in-vehicle connectivity.
So we are in a very interesting panel because, as we all know, lately the capital in the market to do new investment is slowing down somewhat. Whereas you guys are coming with a much different approach than the regular VCs like us. So it's a very interesting perspective to understand whether or not this situation and your plans on what to do and how to do, is it good or bad for the startups in the audience? I'll start with you, George. You know, being a venture arm of a major OEM, as such, you approach investment and collaboration with startups in different way than us regular VCs. In what way are you also providing access inside Toyota or the greater Toyota group?
Well, to put it simply, we do it better.
Okay.
Financial VCs only have capital, and they try to differentiate themselves by saying that they can open up doors to partners and make introductions. But the reality is, particularly a large OEM like Toyota, we can bring a lot of things to the table that go much farther than just mere capital. The ability to support them on supply chain, logistics, design for manufacturing, actually collaborating and co-developing the technology together. So we have tools available to us that a traditional VC doesn't have available to them. And that is something that can actually accelerate the business. We don't have to be a passive investor anymore. We can actually be quite active, be a board observer or even a director in some cases, and help drive the direction of the company. So I think it's a fundamental difference, but traditional financial VC plays a very important role too, because we're never going to be writing the entire check.
Can you give us a short example of how do you take them inside and make those connections?
Yeah, so we actually have what we call a portfolio success team, and their KPI is for the startup to be successful, not for us as a fund. That's something that our investment team is responsible for. But their job is to help the startup navigate Toyota. We have 350,000 roughly employees globally. We have manufacturing on a global basis, R&D on a global basis. Being able to navigate that and then make the proper introductions and do traditional business development, actually come up with ideas on how both sides could collaborate and create value together is their role and responsibility.
Going to you, Lone May, as a tier one, not the OEM side, you're exposed to innovation on different levels. What are the different methods of working with those startups that you apply? How do you bring them inside the group, and does it stay only on the Valeo level, or you're also able to take them to additional OEMs and to the market?
just a few figures, just for value to be like something tangible to you. We're about 110,000 people. I agree with George. It's a lot of people around the world, and we have all to work together. So when we go into partnerships, we have to get organized, and that's the strength of big companies. The first thing is you have to identify a target. Our targets, for instance, it's electrification, making mobility greener, making it safer, that is autonomous driving, for instance, or ADAS systems. So if you identify the same topics, at least you have the same goals. And if you go towards the same goals, that's the first step that you have to achieve. Then what you can do is also identify the people, because you have to walk through into the system of 110,000 people with a bunch of networks, and you don't know where to go sometimes. Beyond that, there are different ways to work with us. Either we have direct investment, it's strategic, rarer, I would say, or indirect investment through partners like Maniv. Maniv is in Israel, or through Trucks VC or Cathay Innovation in other countries. But we also do through partners like ICAR. So I say hello to Tehila, who represents ICAR here, partners in different countries, or innovation platforms like Choose Paris region in France, but also Auto Tech Council in the US. And we have to develop the relationship and go directly to work with you. So different models, it shows that we're flexible and we try to be agile with you.
Thank you. Now, going to you, Eric, you've created something very interesting and in a way innovative, connecting R&M with few communication and software companies. How does that work? How do you streamline innovation inside from the outside? What channels do you give them? And how's that kind of group work together?
Yeah, so Software Republic is an initiative that our CEO, Luca De Meo, launched in 2021. And the idea is to create a new type of cooperation, going more on the horizontal way. We do a lot of things with Valeo or with other big automotive players, more in the vertical way. Here, we are collaborating with Orange, Atos, Dassault Systèmes, ST Microelectronics, and Thales, which are not traditional automotive players, but for which we have a lot of techno bricks to put together. And the idea is not to make innovation or to be a think tank, is really to develop business together with, I would say, 3 golden rules. One is we create a business when we are more than 2, so minimum 3, to move out of the traditional bilateral agreement that has worked forever. Second point is we develop products or services that go on the market, so they are open to third party. No, we cannot be the only customer. That's very important to get the scale and to get the competitiveness. And the third topic is we try to have in most of our projects a startup with us, because we are a big corporation, heavy, and we need the startup both for the content and I would say the container. So this means the method and the speed. So this is a bit the explanation of this new model of Software Republic. And to answer precisely to your question, our relationship with startup is really related to the focus and the common objective, as it was mentioned. And for us, we choose only startup for which we think there is a common project with at least 2 of the partners. So it's a very tough selection criteria. We are not looking for the best startup, for the most profitable or whatever. Our goal is to detect the startup which we can make grow with our project as we grow as well. So that's really narrowing the number of startups. We collaborate basically with 2 groups of 5-6 startups per year, so it's very small. But we really think that's the way to make their time and money efficient and our time and money efficient.
Thank you. Gidon, you're in a very interesting junction between semicon meets automotive. How do you see that, if you can tell us a little bit about the challenges especially in terms of joint development and also lately or in the last 2 years, minimizing the supply chain issues, if you can share with us.
I think there are many, many challenges with respect to semiconductor and automotive. We've seen a lot of it happening during the COVID-19 era, etc. But I'd like maybe to look to the future and to talk about one of the key challenges that we are involved in trying to help OEMs and semiconductor company to solve together. When you look into the future, the industry is very much focused on the autonomous vehicle of the future. The North Star for the industry is the autonomous vehicle, or may I say the software-defined autonomous vehicle. And there are big challenges around putting this machine in place. I'd like to focus on one of them, which is very much semiconductor related, talking about the power performance challenge. Now, power performance is always a challenge, but the automotive industry developing the autonomous vehicle is taking this challenge to a new dimension. On one hand, the autonomous vehicle is a chassis that needs to move from one location to the other using an electrical engine. On the other hand, it has a very strong brain that needs to sense the environment, to do fast calculation and navigate and make a decision on the spot to take this vehicle in a safely manner from one point to the other. And if you make the brain too strong and too power hungry, then you end up losing the range that the engine can take the vehicle to. And if you make the brain not strong enough to keep the range, and everybody are aiming at 1,000 kilometers of range, then you may have a theoretical range, but you will not make it because the car will probably run into an accident very quickly. So semiconductor collaboration is essential to solve this challenge. If you visit the R&D centers of OEM today and you see the test vehicles implementing autonomous driving technologies, you see cars which are loaded with very big servers, very heavy servers, very power hungry. And this system needs to be scaled down 50 to 100x to make it production worthy. And this is where semiconductor giants like Intel, like Samsung, like TSMC need to deliver the appropriate semiconductor processes to the automotive vendors. So they are on one hand. On the other hand is the OEMs themselves who has the requirements to putting this vehicle in place, and the semiconductor Tier 2s like Valens who are giving the IP, the sensing technology, the compute technology, and also like us, the connectivity technology is the third element of this collaboration, which is very much focused on solving this huge challenge. And at Valens, we are very proud and happy to be part of those discussions between the OEMs and the giant semiconductor fabrication companies to enable and make this vision happen.
George, coming back to you've been in few corporate VCs in your career. Looking at startups receiving money from corporate VC, there is a conception that if you do so, you're colored and no other OEM or Tier 1 would be involved with you afterwards. So how do you lower that barrier or that fear on their side?
Well, I would just say it's false. We recently announced an investment in Fortelix, and there are other OEMs that are investors in the company. We're all looking for the same thing, and frankly, if you're looking at a company that doesn't have strong competition, if you don't invest, you are ceding that to your competition. And I'd rather be at the table, even if some of our competitors are in there, and that's why, we're a growth stage fund. We're really looking for a board observer or a director seat. We're writing a much larger check, let's say $10 to $40 million. We're doing it, actually something that Eric said, at Woven Capital, we have to have a business unit that says, I need this, I want this.
I want to engage with them.
Exactly, and we don't have to have a commercial agreement at the time of investment, but we have to have a view or a roadmap to that collaboration to justify the investment. But on the other hand, we have, we're a little unique at Toyota. We have Toyota Ventures, a sister fund. They describe themselves as explorers. They're doing seed and Series A investments, and they're looking for new businesses, new technologies, things that might be relevant to Toyota in the future, whereas we have to have a business unit sponsor for us to write a check of that size.
Lonmi, when you have already took the decision and you're seeking this exactly the long term that George is talking about, in what way you're able to make it right? Because it's all about, I assume, execution. How do you make sure that those long-term engagement with you would actually, would come to the right success that you hoped for?
I think the worst thing to do is to cross the fingers and pray.
Okay.
It doesn't work like that. So we have to get organized. And what I'm going to share is maybe an example with Mobileye, because it's very well known worldwide, but also here. We signed the first contract with Mobileye in 2015. 2016, first business with Renault and Volkswagen. We did the first front camera. What we did was we got selected. We acquired the business in 2016. We delivered in 2019. First business win, which is like a success story. And you have to celebrate success stories. You have to demonstrate that you can work together. So that's one step. The second step is you have to go beyond, because it's not about like a one-time deal, etc. It has to have a roadmap. It has to make sense in your business. So the next step was for us to do a system for automated emergency brake system. And this time it was more affordable, more precise, and with only a camera system. It's the world first, with Honda in different countries, including India, which is extremely difficult in terms of emergency braking systems, okay? And after that, we said, okay, we can overcome a bunch of difficulties, such as getting organized to work together. But there's another difficulty, is how to go the distance. And we had another hurdle. It was business in China, and we were asked to deploy a bunch of projects within 1 year. And Mobileye and Valeo just said, well, let's go for it. We did it in 1 year, no delay. And we said, how did we manage to do that? We built relationships at different levels in the organization, both organizations, and each time that there was a problem, we triggered escalations and de-escalation in order to just make the ball roll. So what we learned about that was not only we have to have uniqueness or differentiation in terms of technology, we have to be the best, like what Mobileye offers to the market. We have the execution that has to be flawless, and we have to have a team that is going to implement or execute, but with agility. It's very difficult. You're never sure you're going to get all the way there without any problem. Most of the time with problems, and you're never sure you're going to do it on time. But if you build a structure for it and you don't cross your fingers, you increase your chances to get there.
So you already have some kind of best practices to do so, in a way.
And we're still learning.
Yeah. Eric, R&M in Israel operate the Automotive Innovation Lab. What are your conclusions from the period that it's up and running here in Israel? How do you see that, if you're able to compare it to other centers of innovation that you have worldwide? If you can share with us.
Yeah, I think running the innovation lab and making it successful is a very hard work, because once again, the difficult path is to connect what they are doing here and with the startup and with this fantastic ecosystem that we can see today. how you connect that to the business and translate that into concrete projects, concrete businesses, etc. And for them, as well as for us, Software Republic, which are a bit aside of the big machine, there is always an easy path, which is to become mercenaire on our island. And I think this is the wrong way. This is the easiest way, but this is the wrong way because there is a dead end at the end. And then you take the North Face, where you try to convince, you try to bring the different functions, the different business unit on board. And then when they see their own selfish interest in collaboration with a startup or with a lab or with an organization like us, then it can work. And I think that's cooperation and partnership. We should not have a kind of idealistic, philosophical idea of it. It's a sum of individual, selfish targets that you align in part of the game, and that makes this work. So that's for me the success here. And of course, it's based on an incredible high-level tech and concentrated. I think this event is a good example of the concentration.
Demonstration of
Yes,
of that.
exactly.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time has run. I still have many more good questions for you, so I'll probably take it individually. I want to thank you for being with us, for sharing, and see you here, and all the audience. You're invited to catch up with them, with us. Thank you for the rest of the EcoMotion event.
Thank you very much.